Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at T1 Energy. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I'll most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And in the case of this chart, we start on the large time frame here, where we have an initial 5-wave move to the downside that has formed within the idea of an impulse. With the help of the RSI, we can even easily identify clear divergences even here within the fifth wave of the wave 3, and we have a lower low on the chart, a higher low on the RSI, and then the larger fifth wave of this entire structure, another lower low on the chart, another even higher low on the RSI. These strong divergences do suggest to us that we should strongly expect this to be an initial 5-wave move to the downside, which is suggesting that we should be prepared after a 3-wave correction, at the very least for another 5-wave move to the downside. Now, I say at the very least because this could technically work out as a simple wave C. We would still likely see lower prices within this interpretation, but at the same time we would be able to extend even within a large wave 3 within this area, form another fourth and another fifth to complete an even larger 5-wave move to the downside. Now, I won't be making all of these assumptions or any of them really, because we are looking for this interpretation as a high probability only as long as we hold below the area of resistance for this initial 5-wave move to the downside. Currently, this actually remains the case, as this area extends all the way up to the $9 level. So far, we have pushed very nicely into the last level of resistance, but at the same time, we are under the risk of having a more substantial top in place, as within this supposed wave B we are tracking in the white scenario, we have an A, B, C pattern actually complete now. Yeah, we can track from the all-time low, quite clearly even, a zigzag pattern where we had here an initial wave A up, we had a wave B down that even retraced extremely deeply but did not completely invalidate this scenario, and then we are looking for a wave C that could easily be tracked within the interpretation of a full count in this area. Now, in this idea, I would be very easily able to track a diagonal structure within this wave C in orange, and we will be tracking exactly this within the idea of the white interpretation, where we are expecting to form a wave B top. Now, I cannot confirm that we will not see further extensions within this fifth wave even, but I would be prepared, especially based on the internal structure we have formed here during the last few weeks, to have a more significant top in place. I would be extremely hesitant to consider to actually hold for continuation to even higher prices. Yeah, this is forming what seems to be an ending diagonal in this movement that is highly suggestive of a more substantial top forming within this area. Now, keep in mind, if we break above the 78.6% retracement, the probabilities of this chart to form something more bullish would significantly shift. I would need a sustained break, however, and keep in mind, we have here at this previous swing high, the beginning of this wave 3, around the $10 level, a strong structural resistance that even if we get there, we could very easily see a quite direct and immediate breakdown. I would not necessarily expect to manage to get a sustained break unless we form a larger correction prior to pushing above this level. Additionally, for a complete invalidation of this initial 5-wave move to the downside, I would still need to see a break above the beginning of it, around the $16.9 level, for this to not be a valid interpretation anymore. So as long as we stay below the $16.9 level, we are still under the pressure of continuation in this downtrend. The break above the 78.6% retracement is the shift in probabilities that would be achieved. Now, nonetheless, even though we may have a more significant top, even within an ABC pattern within this area, I cannot discard the possibility of a larger leading diagonal building in a large pattern. For this, I could be looking for something like a 1-2 setup in this area. And sure, for those of you who want to, a double 1-2, 1-2 setup could also technically be tracked, but I wouldn't hold my breath for an impulse to form out of this movement. Yeah, theoretically, it is possible, but how likely is it going to be when it struggled to form even this movement as an impulse, even this structure? But the positive side is that the area of support would heavily coincide in either case. Yeah, it would be an extremely minor and practically invisible shift between those two ideas. Now, for support for continuation higher, we will be looking at the levels between the $4 and $1.5 at the 78.6% retracement. Below the $1.5, we are looking with even higher likelihood for the white interpretation to take full charge and take us in the next wave to the downside. If we will see an initial 5-wave move to the downside, we will have an even stronger indication that we should be looking for the breakdown. But for now, let's actually be patient and let the structure unfold itself. Now, internally, within this push to the upside, we could technically be looking for an extension of this 5th wave. I wouldn't hold my breath for this to be still part of a large wave 3, because within this pattern to the upside, it's quite apparent that we are looking at a 3-wave move, and the best that I could see within an extension is either an A, B, C pattern within the 5th wave, or potentially we get a slight extension higher internally before this actually plays out. Keeping in mind the exhaustion that is quite apparent within this push to the upside, I would be prepared for a more substantial top to form sooner rather than later. And there are technically a few counts possible, but I could see something like a 1, 2, 3rd, 4th and the 5th C workout within this area. Nothing substantial I would really expect. I probably even prefer that a top is already in place within this structure, and honestly, I wouldn't track too much the internal count, because ultimately we are deep within the large time frame resistance area and exhaustion is apparent. We see even divergences even here on the daily time frame. Even on the weekly we see a strong divergence for the 5th wave, and we notice the weakness that is present here. Now, as I was saying, for continuation, even a 5th wave, we could technically track an A, B, C pattern. We could be looking for the first level of support for those of you who are absolutely interested. And this starts at the $5.8 level, but honestly, I wouldn't use this as a trade setup either. Yeah, the only accumulation area that I could even begin to consider would be the larger blue support zone. Currently, the price structure remains extremely risky, and I would be prepared for the larger correction to start unfolding. And I wouldn't be recommending to even consider a position within this area. Yeah, we have already formed a substantial uptrend. Yeah, we are looking at, what is it, like a 9x already? Yeah, 10x. It is within resistance, and even though extensions are technically always possible and the market can do whatever it wants, I see this as an extreme risk area, as an extreme risk chart to look for long positions, and I would be prepared for the downfall to begin. And I think staying safe is best, especially when there are so many better opportunities available to us. Yeah, look at the Intel chart, look at the ARM chart. These could be opportunities in the near to mid term. We could be looking for much better potential and much lower risk on those charts instead. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.